All right, you bunch of piss ants. Listen to me, you little turd droppers. This is Don Frye, the Predator, the greatest fighter God has ever put on this planet. I am now doing toxic masculinity with the great Dan Severn, the Beast. I used to wrestle for New Japan Pro Wrestling. I was their greatest gaijin star for years. Now, when I left them, the sales went down. Now sales are finally coming up because I'm helping them behind the scenes. Let me tell you something, you bunch of turd droppers. I wrestled for New Japan Pro Wrestling and I wrestled for All Japan. I fought for the Ultimate Fighting Championships. I am in their Hall of Fame as the greatest fighter ever. So you just pay attention. I fought for Frye Fighting Organization. I fought for heroes. I fought for a lot of people that you don't know and you'll never know because you're too lazy to do the research. Now, understand this, you bunch of piss ants. You're going to piss me off, and I'm going to come banging on your door, and I'm going to rape your dog. Okay? You better watch this interview I'm doing right now for Hannibal TV. If you don't, I will come bang on your door, and I will beat you to pieces with a wet noodle.
This is Hannibal from thehannibaltv.com, and I'm with UFC Hall of Famer, former Pride FC star, former New Japan Pro Wrestling IWGP champion, the Predator, Don Frye, at his house here outside of Tucson, Arizona. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good, baby. I'm good. What's happening?
I'm looking forward to chatting with you and recording your podcast later. To start this off, do you want to tell us a little bit about your podcast that you're going to be doing here soon?
Yes, my genius self and then my lifelong nemesis, Dan the Beast Severn, are doing a podcast. We're doing Dan and Don Toxic Masculinity.
Very good. And what gave you the idea to do this podcast?
Oh, Dan and I have been kicking around for a couple of years, and then we finally got a crew together, who owns a camera and a microphone and lighting and computer and all that good stuff, everything we need. And so since we have the production company and we have each other, not that way, it's kind of, we got a production company and then there's Dan and there's me, you know.
So with this concept, you're going to have guests, and I guess you're also going to be talking about the current MMA scene.
Yeah, we're going to be talking to everybody. We're not just a fight channel. We're going to talk to fighters. We're going to talk to actors, talk to comedians. We're going to talk to politicians. You know, you name it. We're going to throw it in there. We're just going to get a mix of everybody.
And today you have a comedian coming in, Rob Schneider, who's also an actor. How do you know him?
Rob's a good friend of mine. I love Rob. He moved out here to Arizona from California to get away from the nuts. And Rob and I met, could have been 2000 and something. And 5 or 6 or 7, we did a movie called Big Stan, and Rob was the star of it. He was Stan, and he ended up getting sent to prison, and I was one of the prisoners. And he puts the boots to me once or twice in the movie, and he's just a great guy to work with and a great guy to know.
How did you get into acting?
Oh, heck. See, I got hired by Ryuhei Kanamura over in Japan for the 50th anniversary Godzilla movie called Godzilla Final Wars. And then over here, I was contacted by a fellow by the name of Douglas Crosby, who is also a fight judge, but he's also a big fan of all the fighters. And there's like 3 stunt coordinators in New York City, and he's one of them. And so he hired me to do a movie, and them getting me my SAG card. So, thank you, Douglas. Thank you.
Do you have anything else coming up in the acting world?
Shit. Rob Schneider's coming down today to be interviewed on the Dan and Don show. And then, he mentioned, hey, I gotta get you in on one of these movies. He's in the middle of 3 productions right now. So hopefully he'll find a spot for me in one of these things.
And do you still follow the MMA scene?
Sometimes. I don't follow it as hard and heavy as everybody else because I live out here in the desert and mountains and don't always get good reception. So, if I want to watch the movie, I have to go in town. Shoot, where the hell do I go? What's the name of that pub, baby?
Putney's.
If I want to watch the UFC, I'll go down to Putney's Bar and Grill on Oregon Road there in Tucson and watch it there. Because they're good people. They show all the fights and they pay out their ass to show these fights. So I go over there and eat and drink and give my money, my good share of the bill.
Do you know much about the current UFC heavyweight champion, Stipe Miocic?
Stipe, I like watching Stipe fight. He's a good fighter. Also, I'm a little bit prejudiced in his corner because he's a fireman and a wrestler and had a lot of qualities I had. That's how I was a fireman and former wrestler when I got started.
Any predictions for Stipe against Francis Ngannou that's coming up?
When is that?
I think it's relatively soon. I don't know the exact date, but I think within the next month.
Shoot, that's gonna be Stipe's gonna get some head movement. You don't want to get hit by Francis. That guy hits like a mule. Geez, so he's powerful, but I don't think he has any kind of a ground game, and his stamina is questionable. But when you throw punches like he does, you don't really have to worry about stamina that much.
And of course, the winner of that is rumored to be facing John Jones, who's supposed to be going up to heavyweight this summer. What do you think about that decision for Jones going up in the weight class?
I think that's fantastic. I'm going to tell him no. Who's going to tell John Jones no? John, he's a great athlete. He's one of the top fighters, ever to enter the octagon. And he's 6'4", and I know he probably walks around at 2.25, so he loses 20 pounds to fight light heavy. So now he can gain 20 pounds, and when he does that, he'll be 10 times as powerful as he is now. It just you have to see how his stamina is going to be and how he's going to move, with that extra weight.
What do you think is going to happen with McGregor for his next fight? Do you think they're going to give him Diaz again, or is it going to be Poirier?
I have no idea. I think they sit around and they're just, they weigh the odds. How many people are going to buy the pay-per-view? How many people are going to show up at the event? What kind of advertising we going to get, and this, and then they end up just flipping a coin and seeing who.
Who was the most powerful fighter you were ever in there against?
Oh, geez. Gotta be Mark Coleman without question. Coleman is just a freaking animal. Just an animal. He handled me like a dog does a ball, or a cat does a ball. Just swatted me around without worrying.
Yeah, he was really tough. What do you think about him being in the Hall of Fame now as well, joining you in the UFC Hall of Fame?
Well, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and so does Kevin Randleman, God bless him, I think Kevin Randleman was the best athlete ever to enter the octagon. And Mark Coleman, Mark Coleman's just a monster. He was their first world heavyweight champion. I mean, shit, he submitted Dan Severn to get that. And that's not an easy feat. And he just steamrolled through everybody until, like what happens to everybody, you get cocky. You win a title, and then you get 3, 4, 5 wins, and you get bored, and you get cocky, and you don't train as hard, and then you end up paying for that. It catches up to you.
Is there any reason why they never put you in against Dan Severn?
Yeah, when I won Ultimate 2 in December of '96, the winner of that was supposed to fight Dan Severn for the world heavyweight title back then. And like I said before, they bet all their chips on Tank Abbott. And, they forgot Tank was going to have to fight me. And so they stacked the card in Tank's favor. But I won because I was smart enough. I had a friend named Dave Norch come with us to the Ultimate 2. Dave was a fireman and paramedic. And after the Gary Goodridge fight, Dave stuck me with a needle, and we put 2 or 3 bags of IV fluid in me. Boom, refreshed me like that. And so I was good to go. I was like a brand new baby, when it's time to fight Abbott.
Have you followed New Japan at all since you left the company?
No. Every once in a while, I'm lucky enough to get Dave Meltzer's Wrestling Observer every week. Thank you, Dave. And so that's how I read up and keep up on everything. But I haven't watched it on the screen.
The style now is a lot more acrobatics, and there's a lot of smaller wrestlers compared to when you were there. It was more shoot stylish and more bigger, manly looking guys. Have you seen anything about the difference in styles that they've gone to?
No, but you just told me, and I understand it. Heck, if they'd have done that back when Justin Liger was around, or Dynamite Kid was around, God bless Chris Benoit, and Eddie Guerrero, God bless him. Those guys, they were fantastic, and that was the style. But when I was there, they were doing the shoot style, and it goes ups and down, forward and backward, and ebb and tide, what have you. And it'll do this for a few more years, and then they'll change it and go back to a shoot style or, a slower style, because what they're doing, it just tears up the body too much. And they're going to run out of wrestlers, run out of performers.
You mentioned to me earlier that you trained with Brad Rangans to become a wrestler. What was that training like, to be a pro wrestler, that is?
Oh, man, Brad. I love Brad. Brad, he was... he was ripped off in the '76 Olympics, then by the referees and the point system. They went by points instead of, who actually beat who. Brad beat 1 or 2 guys who placed 1, 2, and 3. But he ended up being 4th because the point system, and he should have had the gold medal. And then he got robbed in '80 by that dumbass Jimmy Carter, for boycotting the Olympics. He could have won then too.
Yeah. Was the professional wrestling training hard on you at all for the bumps and stuff, or compared to MMA, was it all pretty easy?
No, it was. It was hard at first trying to get used to it and understand it. When you do it wrong, you pay for it. And but Brad was a good trainer. Just that he didn't have a lot of time to get Brian Johnson and I properly ready. Because they wanted somebody in there fast. A shooter. They wanted a shooter in there fast.
What's your opinion on Ken Shamrock?
Ken's a hell of an athlete. Boy, I'll tell you what, he's strong as a horse. He's probably every bit as strong as Mark Coleman. And we had a real good fight over there at Pride Fighting Championships, and it was a good time.
Now he went into wrestling. He did fairly well in WWE. Did WWE ever make you an offer?
Scott Ferrazzo and I went up there. Scott called them up and got an interview for us with them. Scott's a used car salesman, so we go up there to Connecticut, and Scott, being a 350-pound used car salesman, went in there and told them how it was going to be, how him and I were going to be together, and we're going to run the company, and get the belts and do this and that, and they showed us the door. Damn near if they could have, they'd have put us on a bus instead of putting us on an airplane. They got rid of us.
What are your thoughts on James Thompson?
James Thompson's a good old boy. He's a good old boy. I just, I should have won that fight, but I screwed up, shit. I turned my back on him. Hell, I thought I heard a bell. I was hearing all kinds of bells.
As far as any of today's fighters that, if you were still in your prime, you'd like to go in there against, is there anyone that stands out to you that you would have liked to have fought?
Yeah, I would like to have fought Stipe and then Nagano. You want to fight the best. You want to fight the guy with the belt, or the guy who's next in line for the belt. You just want to fight the best. And those two guys are the best.
Do you remember knocking out Scott Hall in Japan? He tells a story about that.
I don't remember that. I'll have to hear the story. What happened?
It was one of the fan questions. I haven't. I don't exactly know the whole story on it. How did you get into MMA for the first time, anyways?
Shit, I was, lived in Hereford, and I was a fireman in Bisbee, and I was at the tail end of my first marriage. It was going south, so I started taking judo. I wrestled in college and did 8 boxing matches, pro boxing matches, and then I was just working and in a bad marriage, and so I dug around and found out there's a judo club up on Fort Machuca, ran by a guy named Kiyoki Torres, and he was my first judo sensei. And on Saturdays mornings, Steve Owen would come down from Tucson. Steve was Kiyoki's sensei, so therefore being my sensei. And so he saw me walk in, and he said, fuck, that guy's an athlete, you know. You hear him tell the story. And so then, you know, I started coming up here training in Tucson, you know, hour and a half drive, you know, 4 times a week. And then I saw Dan Severn on TV, and I called him up and said, Dan's Don Frye, remember me? He said, yes. Can you get me in on this UFC shit? And he said, yeah. So then he got me some fights across the country, and still waiting on the paycheck from him, you know. And then he needed somebody to help him for Ultimate One. So I took some time off the fire department and went up there, and I was his chief throwing dummy, you know, for 4 or 5 weeks. I don't know, can't remember. But yeah, I mean, people would come in. I want to be I want to be a UFC fighter. Well, I can do this, you know. I saw it on TV. They'd show up, work out with Dan one time, be gone. You know, you never see him again, never hear from him.
I know you guys are friends, but how do you think it would have gone with Dan had you guys had a fight together?
I have no idea. It's something that has been proven, you know. It's like, you know, you think you can go to the moon, take your helmet off, and, you know, and survive without oxygen. It's just hypotheticals just don't work.
What are your thoughts on Fedora Emilianuco?
I think Fedora is fantastic. He was one of the greatest fighters to be in the fighting industry, you know. And he's just a phenomenal fighter, phenomenal.
Yeah, I heard he had COVID recently. That took him out, but he's recovered from it.
Well, that was stupid on COVID's part.
Yeah. There's a fan that wanted to know if you could change anything about your MMA career. What would you change?
My losses. My losses. I'd have slowed down and thought better about, you know, the injuries I had, and, you know, stood back and looked at it from an outside view instead of, you know, being a college wrestler, you know, and fighter, and just wanting to push through it, you know. You end up losing matches that way.
Was a match between you and Tito Ortiz ever proposed?
No, that'd have been a good one. That would have shown, you know, how good my hands were. Because if I couldn't hit Tito's head, then I had no business being in the game, you know. And you got hit on him the size of a 5-gallon bucket.
What are your thoughts on Tito in general?
I like Tito. I think Tito's very smart. Very smart. You know, he was lucky enough to be picked to be on, you know, President Donald Trump's TV show back before President Trump became president. You know, so I think he learned a lot being on that show.
Did you like MMA or pro wrestling better? Obviously, your MMA career was longer.
Yeah. It was probably about 5-6 years too long. You know? Shit. I think I liked the fight game better because you control it, whereas you know, in pro wrestling, the office controls it, but your opponent does too. You know, you gotta trust the guy you're working with to take care of your body. And a couple of guys, you know, they didn't take care of my body, ended up with a broken neck.
For the Yoshihiro fight, what are your memories of that one?
You know, I remember being in that fight thinking, God dang, what the hell keeps this guy up? You know, I'm getting tired of punching, getting tired of being punched. And, after the fight, we're walking down the hallway underneath, to get to the bus. And he comes out of his locker room, bows, says, Don, son, I'm sorry for not giving you a better fight. I looked at him, are you crazy? You'd give me a better fight, you'd have killed me. I think Yoshihiro Takayama-san's phenomenal fighter, man. Got the heart, got the giant heart.
He's in a wheelchair now, isn't he?
I don't even know if he's in a wheelchair. I mean, I know he severed his spinal cord doing a pro wrestling match. And so he's paralyzed from the neck down, his whole body. So I was fortunate enough a couple years ago that Keiji Muda brought me over to Japan to do a pro wrestling match. And we went and saw Takayama-san, And so thank you very much, Muda-san. Thank you.
That's probably one of your most famous matches. Is there any match of yours in particular that you're most proud of?
Well, yeah, it'd be that match, that match, and then same damn thing.
I like that your cell phone's pink.
It's not pink. It's Idri pus. Red. It's the color of pus when you're healing up, underneath the scab. Yeah. That match was a phenomenal match, and it's because Yoshihiro Takayama-san had a big heart, and I'm so proud of that fight because every time anybody doesn't know me, but they come up to me and they say, God damn, we love that fight with you, that big giant Chinese guy. I go, one, he's not Chinese, he's Japanese. And two, if you love the fight that much, give the other guy respect to learn his name,
How was the pay between pro wrestling and MMA?
Hell, you'd have to ask my ex-wife. She got it all.
What do you think about some of the large purses some of these fighters are making today compared to the early years?
I think it's phenomenal. I'm so glad, the money's finally going up, and because these guys deserve it. And they freaking deserve it.
There's a fan that wanted to know if there's any fighter that you still don't like enough that you would fight again, but obviously you can't be cleared to fight these days. But...
Well, there's always Ken Shamrock's bare knuckle fighting organization.
I think that went out of business.
Did it?
There's another one though.
Shit.
Yeah, he went back to pro wrestling.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I guess I should start reading those Wrestling Observers better, huh?
There's a few that pay decent though. I know Josh Barnett did one over in Poland recently that had a good payday, and he won too. What do you think of Josh Barnett, by the way, another pro wrestler that did well in UFC?
I think he's another one phenomenal. Geez, I mean, to be able to do pro wrestling, and touch, to where you don't break a raw egg, to where you can do a fight and you can crush a brick. That's better athleticism than I have. I could never. I couldn't pull it off.
Did any pro wrestlers ever try to take liberties with you in the ring?
Yeah, like I said, the three guys that broke my neck. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That was perfect on purpose.
I think so. I think so.
Were they all Japanese?
Yep, they were all Japanese.
Interesting.
Thing is, I was told to be stiff, so I was stiff. That was my style, the shoot style. And apparently, the office didn't tell the guys I was working with, because you get a potato, somebody potatoes you, you give them a receipt, and I guess my potatoes were a little bit too strong, because they gave me the receipt, which I still am dealing with today.
Do you have any thoughts about Haku that a lot of people say is the toughest pro wrestler of all time? I don't know if you ever came across him.
I love Haku. Ming, it is Ming, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's got a couple of different names.
Yeah. Jeez, I can't remember his real name.
Tonga.
Yeah, Tonga-san, yeah. He's great, man. We hung out all the time. Every time he was over there, on the tour. And that is a scary human being, but he's also the nicest guy in the world. Man, he would give you the shirt off his back and give you his pants and his shoes, and he would go home naked just to make sure you were happy, you were comfortable,
Why do you think people mess with him so much over the years in the bars where he looks like he does and he's so dangerous?
Because they're stupid. People are stupid, especially when they get liquid courage. Yeah, and you get a bunch of liquid courage and you wake up in the hospital. He's a frightening person, man, but he's the nicest guy in the world.
Did you ever have any issues in bars with people wanting to test you since you were such a famous fighter?
No. People are always polite to me, So I guess I got lucky.
Did anyone ever try and convince you to get into professional arm wrestling?
No, hell no. Art Davies had that one organization where they arm wrestled and they punched at the same time, right? I know Cal Worsham did it, but I don't know how many shows they had.
There was a fan on here that wanted to know what happened with the Sonny Westbrook altercation. I don't even know who that is.
Well, I was drunk. I had been at the bar all day long and drank probably over a gallon of tequila that day. Probably a gallon. Over a bottle, working on the second one. And then I had 4 or 5 different narcotics in my system because of my back and my neck. And if this is the day, the 24-hour day, I remember about this much, So.
When you used to drink, what was your drink of choice?
The next one.
What are your thoughts on Ronda Rousey?
She's a good-looking piece of meat. I'll tell you what, and she gets cleaned up. She's a good-looking woman, and really pretty. She was a hell of an athlete too, She just had the wrong people around her, which happens to a lot of fighters and a lot of other athletes, You're on a winning streak, you're a winner, you have all these people around you, you got cars, money, everything, helping this guy, and then all of a sudden, boom, you get hurt or you lose and you can't get your confidence back and you start losing more and then all the people disappear, and then you find out who's your real friends when you're struggling, you don't have any money, you're struggling for your life, you find out who the real friend is.
What are your thoughts on Misha Tate?
Hell, I don't know. Misha was a good fighter, I guess, when she was fighting. What does her think about it?
What was the difference between New Japan and All Japan working for those two companies?
New Japan, when I was doing New Japan, they were on the high and they had a lot of money, at that point, because everything was going good. Ticket sales were phenomenal. So they treated you good. They spent money on you, fed you, everything, first class all the way around. All Japan, they didn't have the money like New Japan, but they always treated me good, both of them. I don't have a complaint with any of them.
Did you have sponsors over there that would take you out and take you to fancy dinners and stuff that we always hear about?
Oh yeah, everybody does, Yeah, everybody. They take you out, they wine you, dine you, and all you gotta do in return is give them photos and signatures, I mean, they're good people over there in Japan. I love Japan.
Why do you think Inoki chose you to have his final match? That must have been a big honor for you with what a legendary figure he is in Japan.
That was a huge honor, my wrestling match with Inoki-san is right there with my match against Takayama-san, in here together. And, I was the most famous fighter in the world at that time, I had just won Ultimate in December of 96. And I think in April 97 or 98, Inoki-san has me do his retirement match. And it's such a big honor. We did the Tokyo Dome, which is a 73,000 seat arena, but they had it was 78,000. They sold 5,000 standing tickets, and it's just phenomenal because that show was like 4 or 5 hours long, and those people, that were there for the whole thing, and pro wrestling match, in Japan, when you retire, your retirement match would be like 20, 30 minutes, to say goodbye to the fans, give them a fond farewell. 2 minutes into the Inoki match, I broke 3 of his ribs, So he stretched me out in 4.5 minutes, stretched me out into a submission.
Do you have any advice for pro wrestlers that are watching this, maybe up and coming?
Yeah, get a prenup. Make sure you get insurance, don't quit your day job. And, always take care of your family.
You were a heel mostly as a wrestler, right? You didn't do babyface much. How did you like playing that role? Because you were normally a face in MMA.
Yeah, I was a face in MMA, but I love being a heel in pro wrestling. Just, you grew up watching Terry Funk, Ric Flair, and Superstar Billy Graham, Hi, sweetie pie. You want to be a heel like those guys.
Your dog just entered the room.
Yeah.
Maybe your daughter could close the door for a second just for the background.
Get her, Queenie Pooh. Get her.
So you actually watched wrestling growing up before you were made the offer.
Oh heck yeah! Nothing like Superstar Billy Graham, but
No,
that guy got a promo.
Yeah, Superstar Billy Graham, don't you?
Yeah, I haven't talked to him in years though. But,
He just lost part of his foot due to diabetes.
Oh fuck!
Yeah.
Right or left?
I don't know.
How much?
part of his toes. So luckily not the whole foot.
Okay, just okay, good.
Yeah. Luckily they caught it early.
How old is he now?
78, maybe.
I just broke my heart the other day. I saw Terry Funk, telling people he's tired. I'm a tired old man. Just, don't send me any more, requests for autographs. It just broke my fucking heart, man.
Yeah, he was supposed to be on a show with me on the 27th of this month, but he had to back out of that, unfortunately, as well.
Yeah, why?
I guess because of his health issues. Or I think there's some sort of problem with his abdominals, and he's having memory issues.
Fuck, man. Jeez. How old's he now? So
He'd
70.
be in his 70s.
Yeah.
He lost his wife a couple of years ago.
Yeah. But that fucking tore him up, man. Because he loved her. They were high school sweethearts,
Yeah, it's too bad.
And they were divorced for what, 2 or 3 or more?
Yeah, just briefly. Because he had that other little fling or something and stuff.
Well, he said he was in Japan, in his room, knock on the door. He answered, there's a little girl there. She said, "Hi, Terry Funk, I'm your daughter." And he says, I started doing the math. Yeah, probably could be. So he went home and told the wife, and she fucking beat him, kicked him out.
Wow.
Yeah, fucking, I think the little girl's like 20, I don't know if she's in late teens or early 20s, how long it was, but I know she was following around one of the guys in New Japan when I was wrestling there, She's like a fucking mat rat,
Was there more mat rats for wrestling or MMA?
Partner, I don't know. I would, I guess for wrestling, but I always had my wife with me for the fights, not for the wrestling, but fuck the wrestling. I was so tired. If anybody wanted to, I couldn't have, but they were all scared of me. So my gimmick worked good,
Yeah,
I never had peace. Anybody looking for me.
You would have done well in WWE with your voice and a good heel persona.
Yeah.
You did well enough on your own.
Yeah, fuck, I wish I'd stayed healthy, man. Jeez, I'm fucking nice. You saw where they had my back wide open, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're fucking like this. And when the old people say, you're without your health, you have nothing, man, they were spot on, boy. They were spot fucking on. I remember watching Inoki-san fight Muhammad Ali, and that was my first introduction to Antonio Inoki. And when Brad Reagan's called me up, what happened was Brad Reagan's called up the late Jeff Blatnick, because they were friends for years, because they did Greco-Roman together. So Brad calls up late Jeff Blatnick and says, "Hey, we're looking for, a good guy who, come over here and can learn wrestling and be a heel, and not hurt anybody, to where they can't do anything again, but also a good guy, we're not going to have trouble with." And so, God bless him, Brad recommended me. Jeff recommended me to Brad. And then Brad called me up and flew over to his place in Minnesota. And Inoki-san and Masa Saito-san, flew over with the first Tiger Mask and Fujita and Ogawa.
Which death hit you the hardest of your friends? There's so many wrestlers and MMA fighters that passed away young.
It'd be Kurt Hennig, Kurt was such a good guy. and just a phenomenal guy. And, he was buddies with Brad Reagans, and then he'd come in and help us, work out and train us and, teach us, tricks. He'd always be pulling a rib, He was fantastic. Oh, it's just fantastic.
Did he ever pull any ribs on you?
Oh, yeah. He H-bombed me one time on the airplane. And all I remember is getting on the plane in Minneapolis and then waking up the next day in Japan. I don't remember anything on the plane, on the ride from the, going through customs, on the ride from the airport to the hotel, being at the hotel, and we woke up the next day.
What are your thoughts on Chuck Norris?
I like Chuck Norris. I like him, man. I got the privilege of meeting him once over at a fight there in California. He's a very nice guy, and his son's a good guy. I know his son from the movie industry.
What was Godzilla your favorite movie to do so far?
Well, of course. I had lines. I was a star. Shit, they treated me like gold. I had an agent, in Japan. I had a personal assistant. I had a chauffeur. I had a cook. Shit, there was something else. Number 5, I can't remember. And interpreter, did I say interpreter?
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
You had a full staff. Did you ever meet Sylvester Stallone yet?
No, I'd like to. I'd really like to. I mean, come on. You grow up on Rocky and Rambo. Rocky's probably the greatest sports movie ever made. It really is. And then you grow up fantasizing about that,
I know Goldberg speaks very highly of you and you're friends with Goldberg. Any stories about him, and what do you think about him still wrestling in WWE, making $3 million a year reportedly?
God, that's fantastic. Congratulations, Bill. That is great. If anybody deserves it, he does. Bill's one of the nicest guys in the world you'll ever meet. He will go out of his way for fans, and he really goes hard for the disabled fan, disabled children, knock on wood. He's really a great guy in that aspect and helping people out in that area.
I know he trained in Muay Thai for decades and he has a gym, I think. How do you think he would have done had he crossed over into MMA? I know he was always offered more money in wrestling, so it never happened, but there was always some talk of it.
That's a question that, is silly because there are so many variables in the fight world, Excuse me.
When you were in your peak condition, what would have been your best squat, bench press, and deadlift?
Oh, shit. I don't know. On my bench, I think the most I ever did, I had bad shoulders from, a young age. I think the best I ever benched was around 400, 4 1/4, but, my shoulders were horrible. And then, thing on the deadlift, I think if I could only do about 5.5, 6. And then the squat, I don't even remember the squat's been so long, but I know I couldn't do them now because I lost the quad on my right leg from when I had my back fused and I broke the rods and didn't know it. So I walked around on it for 2.5 years like a dumbass. And I know my back hurt, but I couldn't figure out why. And then I never looked down. Apparently, I never looked down at my legs because I didn't realize how much it had atrophied until I saw a picture of me in the hospital after the coma, And I thought it was from the coma and being in the coma, but then I got thinking, no, I mean that was only 3 weeks, and the atrophy took a lot longer than 3 weeks to be, because my right leg's like 10 inches smaller in diameter than my left. So, that didn't happen 3 weeks. That happened over the 2-year course.
How's your back holding up now?
It's a lot better than what it was.
Last time I saw you, you were in the hospital.
Which hospital?
The one in Phoenix.
Yeah, Scottsdale, yeah. And I thought that was the last of the hospitals, but I guess I ended up one the following year too, down here in Tucson. I had that down here. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I was screaming like a woman, every morning at 4 a.m. And they hauled me in the hospital a couple of times, couldn't figure it out. And then they had a intern go through my MRI photos one sheet at a time, and he found something inside my spinal cord. And then they cut me open, go in there, and they said my spinal cord was all lumpy and distorted, swollen, and they cut into it. This pus came out. I had an infection inside the spinal cord. Damn near killed me.
I can only imagine your medical bills.
Yeah. You find out who your friends are too when you're in the hospital for that.
What was your experience like working on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
That was fun. I mean, that was the second time I worked with the late, great Roddy Piper, I got to work with him twice, and it was so much fun each time. And heck, we did a pro wrestling match for them people. We probably did a half-hour Broadway, and then come find out they only use like 1 or 2 seconds of it. But you know what? It was just fun being in the ring with Piper. Shit, I'd paid them to do it, but they paid me, and I got to do, I got to work with Roddy Piper.
Were you guys just calling it on the fly for that, or was there a choreograph?
Oh, no, he was calling it. He was calling on the fly. Yep. He led me around, and Trump running out tape.
No, I was just checking what the tape was at.
He led me around and just called it, and I had fun. And, working with him was phenomenal. Like, you couldn't even feel him. And he's one of those guys you got to keep an eye on all the time because you don't feel him. And you close your eyes, he could have been here, there, and done anything because, the touch was just so perfect.
What are your thoughts about Kurt Angle?
I think Kurt Angle's a phenomenal athlete. He's just a great athlete, and I'm glad he kicked his painkiller addiction problem. That's just horrible how an athlete destroys their body for the company, and then gets hooked on drugs for the company. And then goes to the company, and company turns their back. It's like, like when you find out who your friends are. Some people grab their coat and run. And business companies like that, they'll either stand by you. New Japan stood by me, for the neck surgery and a shoulder surgery, and New Japan Pro Wrestling is phenomenal. And unfortunately, Kurt, was with somebody else who turned their back and wiped their hands.
Yeah, Karen, I guess she went on with Jeff Jarrett or something too on top of it all.
Yeah, right. Well, that's the thing about you don't want to get your wife involved in the business.
No,
Because they're fucked up. They think everybody's out there for them and they're the star. No, I'm the star. I'm sharing it with you because I love you. And I want you to be happy. But then I want you, forget about me. And it's like money doesn't. Money doesn't change people. Money exposes people.
did you ever meet Quentin Rampage Jackson?
Yeah. He's a great guy. I like Quentin. Quentin's a hell of a guy.
Yeah, he was in Pride around the same time you were at. What about Randy Couture?
I don't know Randy.
What are your thoughts on MMA and wrestling doing shows with no crowds right now due to the COVID?
I think that's weird. Oh, you okay? Are you okay? That's just the weirdest thing. It's like a wrestling practice. Being in the wrestling room with just the other wrestlers, and but they're not working. They're not working out. They're all doing their stage duty. But that was I was shit in the wrestling room. Just garbage. Same thing with the fight room. Anybody could come in there and beat me. But when I was in front of the crowd, that's when I could perform. Whereas, some in the wrestling room or the fight room, guys to be world champion, in the room. But when they get in front of a crowd, they piss themselves and they freeze up.
There's a fan that wants to know about your reunion in 2000 at Kurukan Hall with Pro Wrestling Masters, you and Chono, or your Team 2000 reunion. It wasn't in 2000.
It wasn't in 2000?
No, it was a couple years ago at Kurukan Hall.
Yeah, when I turned on Muto.
Yeah.
And went back with Chono-san. Yeah. That was great. That was great to be back with Chono-san. It was great that Muto-san brought me over there. And like I said, he brought me over there to do the match and see Takayama-san. Thank you very much, man. I really appreciate it.
You played Mike Hager from the Final Fight video game in the Broken Gear film. Do you play video games at all? I think I know the answer to that.
What's your answer?
Probably not.
No, I would get too frustrated, and I would break the game and break the TV set.
Did you see Jake Hager fight in Bellator? He's a former WWE champion that had about 3 fights now, I think, 3 or 4
Really?
fights. Yeah.
How'd he do?
He won his first 2, but they were tomato cans. His third, he kneed the guy in the groin 3 times, and it was declared a draw. His last one, he got the decision, but it seemed like a bit of the decision could have gone either way.
Yeah.
But he's done. He's
He's 4-0, right? 4-0?
4-1 draw, I guess.
3-0-1 or 4-0-1?
3 wins and 1 draw. So he's not doing too badly.
No, not at all. Not at all.
He's also in AEW. Have you seen any of that company?
No, I haven't. I have not. I guess I'll have to look at it now.
There's a fan that's asking if you still dislike Dan Henderson.
I didn't dislike Henderson. that whole thing just poking fun at him.
Who in the female MMA field do you think is the best looking? There's a fan asking.
Holly Holm.
Okay.
Man, I saw her. Wow, she just gorgeous. Wow.
How did you get to know Sean McCorkey and Adam Hunter? A fan is asking.
Oh, fuck. Sean McCall. Okay, Sean and Adam Hunter, he does his MMA Uncensored. And so we do that. I think I knew Adam from, a couple of the fights. And then Sean McCorkle, yeah, he's fucking funnier than shit. Sean he's funny. He's fun to be around and listen to. He's just one of those guys that'll keep you laughing the whole time.
Did you have much interaction with Frank Shamrock, and how do you feel about him compared to Ken?
Yeah, I had Frank was a friend of mine. One time back in when I was fighting, I was having problems here in Arizona, so I went over to Frank's place and he trained me for a fight. And but there wasn't much training because I was so beat up. He would take me to the chiropractor, he'd give me a masseuse, he'd take me to the acupuncturist, take me to the gym for the spa and the steam room and the sauna. We spent more time on the road going to try and put my body back together, and he did a lot for me. He took me to the chiropractor and they took x-rays. He says, well, what's the diagnosis? And they says, well, the medical term for his back is he's fucked. Yeah.
There's a fan asking if you have any thoughts on CM Punk, who is a former WWE champion that had 2 UFC fights and didn't win either of them, didn't have very good performances in either of them.
Well, you know what? He gave it a shot. He tried. I got a lot of respect for him, because he walked away from being the champion to try something new. And as a gamble, he lost it, but at least he knows, instead of being one of those guys who sit around saying, I coulda, shoulda, coulda, woulda, he gave it a shot. I got a lot of respect for that, man.
Did you ever meet Vader, the pro wrestler?
Yeah, I did a match with him one time, yeah.
How was that in the ring with him?
How's that what?
How was being in the ring with him? Because he was known for being very rough in the ring.
He wasn't rough with me. He sandbagged on me, He was, he was doing the job and he wasn't happy about it, And so like I say, he sandbagged. And after the match, is at Sumo Hall. So you're separated, good guys and bad guys. And the only way to get into the locker room without anybody knowing it is you go out the back door, go down this blocked off hallway. It's got a wall, and you jump the wall and then go down and then go in. And I did that, jumped the wall, came in, and then I could hear him talking to the late Steve Williams, and he goes, my God, he was killing me as this. And Steve says, I was watching from the doorway here. I thought it was a shoot. He said, I didn't know what was going on, and I was just working the way I normally work.
Do you have any plans to ever do an autobiography?
No, sure don't. No plans for the autobiography.
And I'm going to guess you don't have any social media. I think you have a Twitter, but I'm not sure how often you're posting on that.
got Twitter, but fuck them. You know, they're gonna cut off the president and every other conservative fucking.
Someone's asking, is Gary Goodrich the hardest puncher you ever faced?
No, Gary's a good guy. Good guy. The hardest puncher. Jeez. Jerome Lebanner. He knocked me on my ass, man. Knocked me around the ring like I was a racquetball.
There's a fan wondering how you feel about not being included in UFC 4. He's from Ireland. He said love from Ireland.
UFC 4?
Yeah.
Jeez, that guy's got a good memory. Jeez, man. Hey, to you, brother. To you. The sun will always be on your back.
Did you
The sun on your face and the wind of your back. Sorry.
Did you ever meet Alberto Del Rio in Pride? He went on to be a wrestler, a Mexican fighter.
No. I think he was another wrestler that went into fighting. But no, I don't think I ever got the opportunity to meet him.
Did you ever meet Stone Cold Steve Austin?
Yeah, I met Steve Austin once or twice. What a great guy, man. What a great guy. He's funny. He's funny. And, you know, he's everything you'd expect.
He should have you on one of his podcasts. He has one of the most popular podcasts in the world. You'd be a great guy to have on there.
I would be, you know. It's bad business sense for him not to have me on there.
What were your interactions like with him? Did you get to go out with him or anything, or was it mostly a handshake?
Mostly a handshake, just a couple minutes, because it was backstage of one of their WWE shows, so he was a little busy.
And just to wrap it down here, there's a few more fan questions. Is there anything you refuse to do in professional wrestling that they asked you to do?
Yeah. Antonio Inoki's son asked me to do a job. Cut for a minute, will you?
So I was going to ask you about Bob Sapp, who you would have known from Pride.
Yeah, Bob, big old boy, man. You know, Bob's a great guy. I really love him. Shit. He's the funniest guy. I mean, we did that movie, Big Stan. You know, every scene he was in was hilarious. I mean, Bob's just a walking cartoon character. He really is.
Is there anything you want to say to the fans that have been following your career through all these years?
Yeah, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I thought all my fans died of old age. You know, if you're still around, thank you very much. I appreciate it, and I hope to make a comeback here. And you know, we're doing Dan and Don's Toxic Masculinity. Toxic Masculinity. We are doing Dan and Don's Toxic Masculinity. And it's hard to say, but it's a lot of fun to watch. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Support us on patreon.com for $1.99 a month to watch our full shoot interviews ad-free and help our channel grow. Follow us on Twitter at the Hannibal TV for instant updates.